what Atiku said about the administration of President Bola Tinubu, especially President Bola Tinubu. There is no sign, no signal that Tinubu is addressing poverty, hunger in the country. Is it true about Tinubu's administration?
It is true. The economic reform, does it have impact on the life of people? No. Yes, that is the truth. That's the question we must ask ourselves. We can bring up a policy. You can come up with a program. The impact of that program on the life of people, that's what matters. Of course, removal of subsidy is a good development, it's a good policy. The management of the money that you derive from it wasn't better managed. Was it spent on the life of people? It was not. Yes, there are issues that touch the life of people. That money should have been spent on. I have been saying in Mr. Mike, let them go back to the archive of this system and see my stand on this. The impact of subsidy is a good policy. More money will be available. Okay, the moment that was not available, on what was it spent on Nigerians? Was it spent on the education of Nigerians? Was it spent on public services of Nigeria that people will, having cheaper buses? Was it spent on food production, transportation provision of people? Nothing. Communication, health sector, and was it spent? Those are the things that touch the life of people directly. Was not spent. Only for our president to tell us was give the money to the governors. And the governors were then now spend the money on Nigeria. It is not. So cost of food or cost of living is extremely high. Transportation, communication, everything extremely high. Cost of people living is so high. But that's singular act. Because the price of petroleum product has multiplier effect on other parts of other things. So when you see a government that says they have a policy, have a policy, and then the implementation of that policy, part of that policy is not reflecting in the life of Nigeria, so it's a failure. So no matter what you talk about it, if you bring up any policy or program, how does it translate into the living standard of Nigeria? Does it reduce cost of living or increases? That's the measurement, that's the mark, that's the measurement. That's the how many hours we use to measure it. Forget my story, don't tell a story. You bring this policy, bring this reform. What is the inflation in the life of living standard of the people? If you are buying fuel now, how much does it cost? If you are entering transport, how much does it cost? If you are buying food stuff, articles, everything that touches the life of people, cost of living, does it increase or lower? Are people living, and living standard of people, is it increasing or lowering by your policy, by the impact of your policy? If it is negative, then your policy is a failure. So for them to be saying that living standard of people, poverty and poor has increased is a fact. You made more money from subsidy removal, good policy. More money was available. But how do you spend that money, or what do you spend that money for? Do you spend that on the life of people? No, it was not. You said we are giving to governors. Is that the government money that resources, that development? You get my point? So that's the issue. Removal of subsidy, good policy, I'm still saying it tomorrow. But what about the implementation of that policy? The policy you make from that money, the money you make, what is like they give you an increment in your place of work. Where any 30,000 before, they now increase your salary to 50,000. Extra 20,000 that have been added to you. And what do you spend that extra 20,000 for? You have made extra money now than what they have been making. What did you spend that money on? On the level after if President Tinubu has said, okay, 3 tiers of government will keep 30% of this money, 70% will be spent earlier on Nigerians. We will have seen the effect of that, the impact of that regime. So because he didn't do that, you say you are giving money to government. Is that I'm surprised the way Tinubu manage that. I'm surprised the way he manage that. I'm surprised the way he make use of that money he made. Implementation of that money. He messed up on that implementation of that money, I'm telling you. He messed up heavily. Policy of removal, good. Extra money you made, how did you spend it? What's the process of spending? What is the criteria for spending? What those things, those things you spend the money for? Let people come to the public and be telling us subsidy, extra money you made. Let them come and tell the public what is expensive upon. Is it subsidy? Is this subsidizing transportation cost? Is it providing food supply for the people? Communication aspect of the cost of living, is it the material is as it lower the cost? Electricity payment for the people as it subsidizes it. Agricultural products, food as if we are the cause of food stuff in education. Doesn't list those things depends on Nigeria's life to now tell us justify whether there's increment in poverty or not.
All right. Saying presidency, APC slam Atiku over hunger hardship alarm. Presidency, APC slam Atiku over hunger hardship alarm. All right, let's go down to the report. Let's move down to the report here. The presidency and former vice president and the presidential candidates of the opposition People's Democratic Party in person of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar have been trading words over the claim made by Atiku and there is widespread hunger and starvation in the country due to the ineptitude of the government in power. However, while dismissing the statement of the former vice president,
so Atiku, by his standard, by his personality, is already on that radar of a statesman. So he has been there. He understands when there is extreme political, emperoric leadership in Nigeria. That it is true. We must understand that, and even the APC themselves, would they come out boldly? I remember too when Mr. Tinubu was saying that everybody should tighten their belt or whatever. I think he made similar statement in the past. We also recorded that under Buhari. Consistently, this APC government, has become. I keep on saying it has become a burden to Nigeria. That's not how we are going to look at it. Whether Atiku is playing to his own ego or whatever ambition, that is his business. But the reality on ground is that, in honest truth, by 2030, 35, Nigeria will be talking about 500 million population upwards, 400, 500 upwards. And in less than 2 years of this man's administration, he has borrowed 70-something trillion. Then Buhari, 8 years, about 12 trillion. What is the problem? What actually is Bola Tinubu looking for? Because I begin to ask myself, is there anything Nigeria have done this man that he actually want to retaliate? You can see that even his cabinet members, his associates, and those who are playing psychophancy are always praising him. Well, that is government. But unfortunately, Nigerian civil society organizations who are supposed to protect harsh policies of the government has just disappeared since APC came into power. Atiku is very right. Unless I'm not marketing Atiku because I don't know where he stands. Until he becomes very clear. But on this issue of hunger, bros, there is hunger. The only people that are not feeling hungry in this Nigeria, go and look at the percentage. These guys, go and see the kind of investments running into billions. They're not hungry. How can you go and tell Mr. President or his aides that you need 100 naira? Do you know most of them have not touched 100 naira? For the past 30, 40 years, they don't know what is called 100 naira. But for ordinary 190 million Nigerians are in poverty. And he said, Mike, what I said? He said, I said, you don't, Bola Tinubu, if you are getting to a point of confusion, please, why not tender a resignation and just excuse us?